This coin almost ended up in the trash, but it turned out to be worth nearly $1 million. That's not a myth. It's not an exaggeration, this is the true story of a forgotten penny that stunned even the most seasoned collectors. It was just another day in Colorado when a casual collector dumped out his pocket change. He wasn't looking for treasure, just sorting through coins like he always did. But one penny, one ordinary-looking coin with the 1982 D mint mark, caught his eye. Something felt off. He couldn't explain it, but this one didn't feel like the others. He was about to toss it aside, when something told him to take a closer look, and thank God he did, because what he was holding wasn't just a Lincoln Memorial cent. It was a rare error that had eluded the U.S. Mint, gone unnoticed by the public, and nearly vanished into history, and it would soon shake the entire numismatic world to its core. But what makes a 1982 D penny worth up to $1 million? Why are collectors and dealers desperately hunting for this one particular version, in jars, drawers, and old forgotten rolls? To understand that, you need to hear the bizarre story behind one of the most confusing years in U.S. coin history, 1982. That year, the U.S. Mint made a drastic change that would ripple across coin collecting forever. For decades, Lincoln cents had been made mostly of 95% copper. But copper was getting expensive, too expensive. So in 1982, the Mint made a massive switch. Quietly and without public fanfare, they began producing zinc pennies, coated with just a thin layer of copper. Visually, they looked the same. But inside, they were completely different, and here's where it gets crazy. In 1982 alone, the Mint struck 7 different types of Lincoln cents. Yes, 7. Large date, small date, copper, zinc, Philadelphia, Denver. It was a whirlwind of transitions, dyes, and compositions, and in the chaos, a mistake slipped through. A coin that should have never existed was accidentally minted. A 1982 D Lincoln penny, struck in solid copper. That's right, the Denver Mint was only supposed to be producing zinc pennies with the D mint mark by the time the switch was complete. But at least one coin, and possibly more, was somehow struck using the old copper planchet. Maybe a leftover blank was fed into the press, maybe someone didn't get the memo. Or maybe, just maybe, it was an accident the Mint never wanted us to know about. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because in 2016, more than 3 decades later, that single 1982 D copper penny was authenticated by PCGS, and declared real. Collectors were shocked, experts were speechless, and immediately the hunt was on. Since then, every coin hunter in America has started checking their 1982 pennies. Rolls are being torn open. Magnifying glasses are flying off the shelves, because if one copper 1982 D exists, there could be others, and owning one could turn you into a millionaire overnight. But first, let's go back to that moment of discovery. The man who found it didn't even know what he had at first. He weighed the coin out of pure habit. Most modern pennies weigh 2.5 grams, that's the standard zinc composition. But this one came in at 3.1 grams. His hand started to shake. He submitted it for grading, expecting a mistake, or a rejection, but when the results came back, authentic, real, solid copper, with the Denver Mint mark. A once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Dealers rushed to verify the story. Experts examined the metallurgical content, and all tests confirmed this was no gimmick, and suddenly, whispers began circulating in coin shops across the country. They found it. The 1982 D copper penny is real. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. There might be more, because if one copper planchet slipped through in Denver, it's possible, even likely, that others did too, and that means, you might be holding one right now. Here's where things get intense. There are 2 things that matter most: the mint mark and the weight. First, it must have the D mint mark, that tiny letter just under the date, that tells you it was struck in Denver. Second, it must weigh around 3.1 grams. That's the key. Zinc pennies weigh about 2.5 grams, anything close to 3.1 indicates a copper composition, but be careful, not all 1982 D pennies are valuable. In fact, most are worthless, just your everyday zinc coins. Only those rare mistakes, the ones struck in copper by accident, have the potential to change your life. But here's the scary part: many people have found this coin, and didn't know it. They tossed it in a jar, spent it on coffee, Lost it forever, because to the naked eye, it looks just like every other penny, but it's not that. It's one of the greatest minting errors in modern US history, and it's not just collectors who are searching, dealers are offering cash on the spot. Auction houses are on alert, because if another 1982 D copper penny shows up, it could easily sell for hundreds of thousands, maybe even break the $1 million mark if it's in pristine condition. That you've seen a 1982 penny and thought nothing of it. How many have you spent, or thrown away? You might have already let a fortune slip through your fingers, but not anymore. Right now, I want you to check your drawer. Your old jars. That dusty piggy bank from your childhood, and most importantly, every single 1982 D penny you come across, because somewhere out there, maybe in a roll, maybe in a box, maybe in your pocket this very second, there's another copper 1982 D Lincoln Memorial penny, waiting to be found, and it could make you the next millionaire. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer and it's worth over $1 million. A simple copper penny. Dull. Faded. Forgotten. Dropped on the ground, stepped over in a gas station parking lot. A 1968 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark, turned out to be one of the most valuable coins in American history. It looks like every other penny. No shimmer. No obvious shine. Just Lincoln's stoic face staring into time, and one tiny, missing detail that made collectors around the world lose their minds, because this wasn't just any penny. It was an accident. A ghost from the US Mint's past. A 1 in a billion mistake that never should have existed, and yet, here it was. Hiding in someone's change jar, and when the right eyes finally saw it, that little coin fetched more than $1 million, but how? Why would a penny from 1968, a year that minted over 1 billion of them, be worth a fortune? The answer lies in a silent detail most people never noticed. Let's rewind to the chaos of 1968. The Vietnam War. Protests sweeping the nation. And the US Mint, scrambling to keep up with an exploding population and skyrocketing demand for coins. In Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, mint workers churned out coins by the millions. Pennies, nickels, quarters, it was an industrial frenzy, but in the middle of that frenzy, something strange happened. A handful of Lincoln pennies were struck at the San Francisco Mint, but released without the S mint mark. That S was supposed to be the fingerprint. The clue that said, this coin was made in San Francisco. Nos. No D. No mint mark at all. To the average person, it looked like a Philadelphia penny, which also had no mint mark at the time. But coin experts? They noticed something was off. A subtle shift in the design. A faint difference in the die, and when they tested it, the result stunned everyone. This penny had been struck with San Francisco dies, but released as if it came from Philly. A minting mistake so rare, so precise, that only a microscopic number ever made it into circulation. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A random man in Nebraska pulled one of these strange pennies from a vending machine. He didn't know what he had. Not it rattled around in his pocket for weeks. He almost spent it at a diner. Almost threw it in a charity jar, but something made him look closer. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was just luck. He noticed the color was slightly different. The strike looked sharper. He'd collected coins as a boy, so he set it aside. 2 months later, at a coin show in Des Moines, he brought it to a dealer. The dealer's eyes widened. He called over another. Then another, and by the end of the day, that single coin, pulled from a vending machine, had offers exceeding $800,000. It was confirmed, a 1968 Nos Lincoln Memorial penny, struck in San Francisco, missing its mint mark, and just a few months later, a similar coin shattered expectations at auction, selling for over $1.1 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Collectors were shocked. Experts were baffled. How had this happened? How had the US Mint let it slip? Because here's the kicker, some experts believe up to 20 of these coins may have made it into the wild, but only a handful have ever been found, which means, this exact penny could still be sitting in someone's sock drawer. A rusty jar. An old coin collection passed down from a grandparent, maybe even in your pocket change, and this isn't just wild speculation. Every year, new examples surface. In 2019, a woman in Arizona found one in a box of coins her husband had saved for decades. It had been sitting, untouched, for over 40 years. When she sent it in for authentication, she was told, point blank, it was worth more than her house. The offers started rolling in. Dealers were calling non-stop. And when she finally put it up for sale, the winning bid passed 7 figures. One tiny penny. One missing mark. One life changed forever. But this is where things get even more mind-blowing, because most people, even coin collectors, have no idea what to look for, and they're tossing away potential fortunes every single day. Then, flip the coin under a good light. You're looking for a no-mint mark, but don't stop there, look at the details. The strike should be extra sharp, because San Francisco used proof dies normally reserved for collector coins. On these rare no-s errors, you might see a mirror-like surface, especially around Lincoln's portrait. The steps on the Lincoln Memorial? Crisp. Defined. Almost unusually clear for a circulation coin. The spacing and alignment of the lettering, collectors have identified specific characteristics, tiny markers, that reveal the coin's San Francisco origin. Don't confuse this with a standard Philadelphia 1968 penny. They also have no mint mark, but they're worth just a penny, maybe two. It's the combination of the no-s, the proof-like strike, and the San Francisco die traits that unlock the fortune. And here's the twist, even worn-down examples have sold for tens of thousands. You don't need a flawless coin, you just need the right one. So before you toss that penny in the tip jar, take a second look, because the next 1968 no-mint mark penny you find could be the missing piece, the one collectors are still searching for. The one that could change your life, the one that turns pocket change into $1 million, and this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in a child's piggy bank, but when a sharp-eyed collector spotted something strange under a magnifying glass, the entire coin world stood still. What they discovered next sent shockwaves through the hobby. The year was 1973. The Denver Mint was running at full throttle. Millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies were rolling off the presses, seemingly ordinary, identical, or so everyone thought, but hidden among those copper-clad coins was a mistake. A rare, almost ghostly error, so precise, so subtle, it went undetected for decades. And when the truth finally surfaced, the numismatic world couldn't believe it. This wasn't just an error, it was $1 million miracle. The 1973 Lincoln penny, with a mint mark so common, so familiar, became the center of a mystery that even veteran collectors couldn't explain. A coin most would overlook, now commands prices up to $1.20 million. And more importantly, how can you find one? Stay with me. Because the secrets of this coin could change your life. It started, as many stories do, in complete obscurity. A man in Colorado was sorting through rolls of pennies he bought from a local bank. He'd done it 100 times before, an ordinary day, nothing special. At first glance, it was a 1973 D. Nothing unusual, right? But the surface shimmered differently. It felt lighter in the hand. And the sound it made when tapped against another coin? Higher. Sharper. His heart started to race. What he was holding wasn't copper. It was aluminum. Now, let me be clear, in 1973, the U.S. Mint experimented with aluminum cents. They struck a few thousand test coins in 1974 using aluminum planchets, attempting to save money on copper. But 1973, that wasn't supposed to exist. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were stunned. And the man who found it? He couldn't believe what was in his palm. A coin the mint never admitted to striking, with a 1973 date, and a Denver Mint mark. It shouldn't exist, but it did, and what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News broke. Specialists examined it. Experts debated. Was it real? Was it planted? Or was this the only known 1973 D aluminum cent? Tests confirmed it, the coin was genuine. Mint struck. Untampered. And somehow, it had escaped into circulation. Only one explanation remained: someone at the mint, perhaps unknowingly, used an aluminum planchet meant for testing. The 1973 aluminum penny was born, by accident or by secrecy, and now, it's worth up to $1.20 million. Let that sink in. A coin smaller than a quarter, lighter than a feather, nearly tossed into the change jar, is now one of the rarest Lincoln cents in American history, but the real question is, how many more are out there, because if one made it into the wild, others might have too, and that's where you come in. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The aluminum gives the coin an unmistakable lightness. It weighs just 0.93 grams, far less than the standard 3.11 grams of a regular copper penny. You don't need special tools. Just a digital scale. Or even your own fingertips. It also has a different ring when dropped. Collectors call it the tink, a sharp, high-pitched sound instead of the dull clink of copper, and the color? It's not the warm red-brown of copper, it's a pale, almost ghostly silver. It looks like a dime at first glance. But look closer, and the date reads 1973. And right beneath it, a bold D mint mark. This is what changes everything. Most aluminum test cents had no mint mark. They were struck in Philadelphia. But this one? The Denver mark proves something deeper, something more mysterious. It suggests the experiment wasn't just limited to one location, or 1 year, and if that's true, there may be others. Collectors are rushing to check their jars, their folders, their forgotten coffee tins. Coin dealers are offering bounties. One auction house said they'd offer immediate six-figure payouts just to examine a suspected 1973 aluminum penny, because the market is exploding. The demand is there. The mystery, the rarity, the thrill of the unknown. It's all come together in this one coin, and here's where the story takes an emotional turn. The man who found the first known specimen? He almost spent it. He was using the change machine at a laundromat when he noticed the strange coin. Had he tossed it in, it would have disappeared forever. Just another forgotten treasure. Another miracle lost, but he paused. He trusted his instincts, and that decision changed his life. Now imagine this. What if your next coin roll, your next handful of change, held the same kind of miracle? What if you're just one penny away from rewriting your family's future? This is more than just a coin. It's a hidden key. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity buried in plain sight, but there's more. Some experts believe there could be a proof version of the 1973 aluminum cent, struck with mirror-like surfaces, meant only for internal testing. If one of those ever surfaces, it could break every auction record in numismatic history. Some say $2 million, maybe more. Start with weight. Any 1973 penny under 2 grams deserves a closer look. Use a digital scale with 100th gram accuracy. You can find one online for less than $15. Then, check the surface. Is it unusually light-colored? Does it look like aluminum, almost like a dime with a Lincoln design? Next, listen to the sound. Drop it gently on a hard surface next to a regular penny. If it sings higher, brighter, that's a red flag. Finally, take it to a coin shop or send it to a third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can confirm authenticity, and help you get it into the right auction. Scammers are flooding the market with plated fakes. If your coin sticks to a magnet, it's not aluminum. If it weighs too much, it's not real. Be cautious, be patient, and be smart. Maybe 2. Maybe 5. No one knows for sure, and that's what makes this journey so powerful. Collectors across the country are finding new purpose in the hunt. Families are opening jars untouched for decades. Grandfathers are passing down penny folders to grandchildren, whispering, "You never know," because one coin, just one, could change everything. And right now, the coin world is holding its breath. Will the next 1973 aluminum cent emerge from a yard sale? A thrift store cash register? A forgotten drawer in some quiet, dusty home?